This week on Africa Weekly, we take a dip off Kenya's Lamu Island and join the fishermen turned conservationists fighting to keep coral reefs thriving. We send you to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where after 30 years of turmoil, the Postal Service is making a comeback. And we go to Madagascar, where the passion for pétanque is more solid than ever. But first, a summary of the stories that made the headlines this week. A likely victory for Ghana's Nana Akufo-Addo in the country's presidential election. The opposition candidate saying he was quietly confident he had beaten President John Mahama Thursday. The election was seen as a litmus test of stability in the West African nation, but has been blighted by sporadic outbursts of violence in a country otherwise known as a beacon of freedom and democracy in Africa. Squeezed onto dilapidated wooden school benches, these villagers in northern Uganda watched the trial of warlord Dominic Ongwen unfold in The Hague, many of them victims of the Lord's Resistance Army. The former child soldier pleaded not guilty to crimes committed by the LRA during a reign of terror spanning 3 decades. He is the first ever member of the rebel group to go on trial. Libyan pro-government fighters said they were carrying out a sweep and clean-up operation in Sirte after seizing the former jihadist bastion this week. Forces loyal to the UN-backed Government of National Accord said they had discovered the bodies of over 260 jihadists. Sirte was Islamic State's last remaining stronghold in the North African country. Protests in Cameroon turned deadly, with state television reporting at least 2 killed in clashes between police and demonstrators. The violence broke out in the English-speaking city of Bamenda, the second outburst in just 2 weeks. The protests arose after strikes by teachers and lawyers who said French was dominating the country's institutions. A crippling strike by doctors and nurses in Kenya is leaving patients stranded in their wards and the sick being turned away from hospitals. Unions are demanding a 300% pay rise for doctors and up to 40% pay rise for nurses. Figures they say were agreed by the government in 2013 but are yet to be implemented. Fishing is the main source of income for Kenya's Lamu Island, but as the oceans empty, former fishermen are being retrained to keep the marine environment alive.
Armed with underwater writing pads and tape measures, these men from fishing communities along the northern coast of Kenya are on a mission. Former lobster fisherman Ahmed Ali has quit his job to work in conservation.
A large part of our environment is being depleted because of the increase in population, and also the use of illegal fishing gear has brought about great danger to the environment. Most of our ecosystem has been lost.
Rapid population growth and years of destructive fishing methods have put the corals around Passi Island under pressure, and fish stocks are plummeting. The Northern Rangeland Trust trains locals to monitor the marine havens in order to improve their environments.
They've set aside areas that they are protecting, where they're limiting the amount of fishing that can happen there, or they're restricting what type of fishing gear can go ahead and can be used.
Terrorist attacks since 2011 have hit the tourist industry in the Lamu archipelago hard, and now fishing is locals' main source of income. But to sustain the fragile reef environments, fishermen need a new game plan. Changing nets and fishing techniques should enable them to catch bigger fish away from the reef that can be sold onto restaurants and tourist lodges for more money.
The fishing gears that target tiny, small, juvenile fish are used in nearshore shallow areas, and they are destructive to the environment, and their catch value is low. These other gears, like the one that you've just seen, goes to fish away from the reef, in deeper waters, in less exploited areas.
Getting the bigger fish to market, however, provides a whole new set of challenges for this remote community. But local fishermen are banking on innovative solutions that gets them access to ice and transport to ensure a bright future while protecting their marine environment.
Waiting on the postman can be tedious. But here in Kinshasa, residents have managed to get by without a reliable postal system for 30 years. Some people here have never received a letter at all.
I've heard my parents talk about it since I was a baby, but I've never received a letter. This is a first.
Trust in the postal service eroded in previous decades as letters and packages were pilfered by postal workers. The workers themselves worked without pay and would only come to the sorting office to see which items were worth stealing.
There were inconsistencies at work. Often packages did not arrive, or letters went missing without a trace, and so customers didn't trust us.
The return to service was only possible after a deal was struck in which employees gave up their claims for more than 18 months' worth of back pay, instead settling for monthly salaries of several $100s. Congo's postal service is dependent on state funds that come from fees charged to telecoms operators for use of an undersea fibre optic cable. To secure growth, the postal service is hoping to sign deals with DR Congo's water and electricity companies.
We have restarted the machine, the delivery routes, the new agreements with carriers. We have renovated post offices everywhere. Even if the building is not yet prepared, the postman is already ready to take part in this new adventure.
Despite significant progress, the postal service is, for the time being, only able to handle posts between overseas destinations and Kinshasa, meaning those outside the capital still have to rely on friends and family for delivering their mail.
It's not even midday on a Monday afternoon, but already several games of pétanque are well underway on these makeshift playing fields in Antananarivo. It's nothing unusual for Madagascar. A remnant of the days of French colonialism, the sport is popular across the Indian Ocean island. And here at the Tana Bowls Club, pétanque fanatics can be found at any time of day.
I played pétanque for the first time in 1964 when I was in the French army. There were only 2 balls to play with. I later bought my first set of balls in 1968. I played and I won a couple of trophies in university.
In 1999, Madagascar won the world title in pétanque, and the sport's popularity exploded. Both amateur and professional tournaments are now regular events, but getting hold of the necessary equipment to train isn't easy.
Even just the balls, you can't get them in Madagascar. If you do find a pair, they're usually very expensive, so we're mostly using second-hand sets brought over from Europe.
But for all the rage over the sport, for years Madagascar was relegated to second place, sparking claims of match fixing and accusations that the island's team was throwing finals for bribes worth millions of euros, an astronomical sum in a country where the average salary is just 50 euros a month. This year the championship was held at home for the first time, and the authorities took every step to ensure the integrity of the local team. In a gripping tournament, Madagascar crushed the competition, and with gold back on home soil after 17 long years, the island's love affair with the sport is stronger than ever.
Nigeria shattered Cameroon's dreams in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, winning the trophy for an 8th time after a 1-0 win in Yaoundé. The Super Falcons dominated the competition, sealing their status as giants of women's football on the continent. But their victory was bittersweet. The team are refusing to leave their Abidjan hotel until they are paid bonuses for winning the tournament. Next week, we take you to the Ivory Coast, where thousands of small-scale farmers are being caught up in the battle to combat deforestation and climate change. That's all from us at Africa Weekly. Until next week.